One thing we make a mistake as humans is we make most of our decisions on emotion. How do I feel tomorrow morning? As opposed to what are the facts? The best way to make decisions are around facts. The business is a reflection of the owner's life. If he's struggling with communication in his life, he will in business. If he's struggling in business in, let's say, communication or leadership, he's going to struggle with that at home. What we really need to do, whether it's life or business or executive, is we need to not sell. What you got to do is show them what they're not doing. You need to show, and I hate to use this word, but show their incompetence. We're the only coaching school in the world that coaches men differently than women, even in business, not just in life, but in business.
Welcome back to the Master Fitness Coaching Podcast, where we explore what it really takes to build a thriving coaching practice. Before we dive into it, please do us a little favor. If you enjoy the content, if you get value from what we do, subscribe to our channel. It's a small gesture, but it really means the world to us. And it ensures you never miss an episode. Today, we are diving into the journey of becoming a successful business coach, not just getting certified, but actually selling your services and guiding businesses to real results. My guest again is Richard Bernstein, CEO of Master Fitness Coaching. Rich, you've built a global brand of coaches. Let's maybe start at the beginning. What separates someone who thinks about becoming a coach from someone who actually makes it?
I think becoming a business coach, you have to have some level of leadership skills. You have to be the kind of person that takes action. So the first thing you have to do is explore all the options, lay those out, choose the pros and the cons of each option, and make a decision. That's one thing that you would teach your clients to do, is how to make decisions. One thing we make a mistake as humans is we make most of our decisions on emotion. How do I feel tomorrow morning? As opposed to what are the facts? The best way to make decisions are around facts. So you want to lay out all your options. You want to look at the pros and the cons of each option and then make a decision. If we're going to teach our clients to do that, you have to learn to do that first.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one.
When you say lay out,
I mean, on a piece of paper, take out a piece of paper, write out your options on the paper so your real eyes see it, not your mind's eye, because your mind's eye tends to float around. Nothing is connected to anything. Somehow, when you dump it all onto paper and you see it with your eyes and you lay out the pros and the cons of each one of those options, now you're making a sound decision based on facts. Mm-hmm. That's how we have to learn to make decisions. That's how we teach our clients to make decisions.
And how important is it to get training and a framework instead of just relying on your life experience?
Oh, you have to be trained. You got to get certified. You have to find out what is your niche. What are you going to be certified in, whether it's life coaching, business coaching, executive coaching, so you can focus, because focus is critical for success.
And would life coaching set you up for business coaching? Is that a good first step, or would you go
100%? And I'll tell you why. Yes, that's a great question, because the business is a reflection of the owner's life. If he's struggling with communication in his life, he will in business. If he's struggling in business in, let's say, communication or leadership, he's going to struggle with that at home. So we always recommend starting with life, because anytime I go into a business to coach them, I'm coaching the person, not the business. I'm coaching the mindset, as we've talked about in, previous podcasts. I'm coaching them around the mindset of success, the mindset of being a leader, the mindset of good communication. All of that is critical. So mindset comes first. I remember you asked me a few weeks ago, which is more important, strategy or mindset? There's your answer. Mindset is more important. Strategy comes from that mindset.
But what would you tell someone who is already an experienced business owner, right? And who thinks, hey, I've run my own business, maybe even multiple businesses. Why do I need to go through a training program? I can just coach from my experience.
Because coaching is a process. It's not just telling your clients what to do in business. It's getting them to open up their mind and come up with strategies themselves. So there's a series of steps that we take to bring the business owner clarity around where his business is, clarity around what he actually wants to build. So coming in and just saying, well, from my experience, you should do this, you should do that, then you're not a coach. All you're really doing is being an advisor, or like we talked about last week, a consultant. That's very different, is telling people what to do as opposed to coaching them to want more, to have the mindset of more, to have clarity of where they are and where they want to go. That difference in clarity is critical to coaching them week to week to get there. It's not just improve the business, it's make the business a vehicle to give you a lifestyle.
And what is that process that you talked about that you have at Mars Venus Coaching?
We use a process called, to bring clarity, we use a tool called an alignment. And so first we do the alignment in the first and the second session to get real clarity, because there are questions that they've never asked themselves before. So they fill out this document, we go through it step by step, and it opens up their mind to where they are and where they want to go. The next step, after we've done 2 sessions around that clarity, is then we craft a 90-day plan. We do everything in quarters of where they are and where they want to go in 3 months, over 12 weeks. And once we craft that plan, then we have steps of accountability where we're measuring where we were last week and where we are this week. What strategies did we employ last week? What strategies for the new week coming? This is a very methodical process of scaling, of building any business.
Right. And this is why you want that framework. This is why you want the training, rather than just going by the whim of.
Oh, there's a lot of people that do that. They just go the whim of whatever I think they need. And the business will fluctuate. It might do well one week and not the next. There's no methodical foundation of a process to build. They're just winging it every week. And that's something at Mars Venus, we never want our coaches to wonder, how am I going to help this client this week? Because every week has a structure, a purpose, and an intention.
And is that alignment, is that the same for all 3?
Oh no, great question. Very different. We have 3 versions, one for the life and, relationship person, one for the corporate executive, one for a business owner, because they're very different mindsets.
Can you dive into that a little bit? Can you elaborate on that a little bit?
No, you need to be a coach first.
Just give us some insights. Give us a little taste.
Well, for example, in the life and relationship, we look at, what do you think is the biggest purpose or meaning in your life? That's a question we typically don't ask ourselves. That brings us a lot of reflection on our life and what's really important to us. What's missing in your life? What's great in your life? What's exciting in your life? So we can look at all those different, pieces of your life and put it together like a puzzle. Now you can say, what do you really want? Because as I said in the beginning, people don't know what they want, whether it's in life or in business. They don't really know what they wanted to do. We want to survive in life. We want to be happy in life. But what does that actually look like? Oh, that's a very different question. We might know what a happy morning looks like or a happy weekend looks like, but we don't really know what happiness looks like. And it looks different for everybody. So we have to find out, what does it look like for you? Same with the business. Yeah, I'm just trying to survive. I'm trying to make money, but that's not the objective. What's the long-term objective of what are we building? Are we making an impact on the world? Are we making something sustainable? What are we actually doing, and why are we doing that?
Okay, cool. And once someone is trained, how do they actually go about selling their services, selling their coaching services, without feeling too pushy and having, and feeling confident?
That's a great question. What we really need to do, whether it's life or business or executive, is we need to not sell. I did say this previously in a mini podcast we did, is you got to stop selling. What you got to do is show them what they're not doing. You need to show, and I hate to use this word, but show their incompetence. Do you know what I mean? By showing them a few strategies that we can do that will change their business or change their life. They don't really know what those are. So we at Mars Venus teach the workshop model. how to conduct a workshop that teaches them something they never knew, because the big challenge is you don't have any credibility. It's okay. I don't have credibility. Nobody has credibility if they don't know you. So the best way to build credibility is teach them something they don't know. And now you have credibility. And then we have the next step after a workshop, after you present, maybe a 1 hour or 2 hour workshop, and they love it. And then you say to them, guess what? As a gift for coming to our workshop, I'm going to do a complimentary session with you in your office or in your home. And we teach you how to make that session so profound that now you can offer your coaching services. Nowhere in our process are we selling. What we're doing in our process is what we call DNVing them. What's their dissatisfaction, and what does it look like if they don't have that dissatisfaction? Because that's what we sell. So we don't want our coaches selling. That's a problem that a lot of coaches, not Mars Venus, but coaches around the world have, is because they're trying to sell them. They're trying to convince them. They're trying to cajole to get them to buy their services. No, we do the opposite. We just show them what it would look like. Because what we're selling at Mars Venus, whether it's business or life or executive, is vision. That's what coaching is doing. So we're selling the vision, not the I can help you, I'm the solution to your problem. No, nothing like that. I help you create your vision, whatever that is.
But surely the actual process of that first session will look quite different in a business coach setting than it would in a life coach setting.
Yes, but the process is the same. The process is the same. The tool we use is different. So the vision of a business owner is different than the vision of a relationship or parenting or, health or whatever my personal issues that I want to look at the vision of. Yes, it's going to be very different for life and business and executive. But the process is the same. It's bringing them clarity around what they want, not what they don't want.
So I guess that kind of answers my next question. Like, what do business owners really want to hear from a coach before they say yes?
Well, first of all, they got to be a good listener. They need to be able to listen to what that client really wants, not put what I want for your business or what you think you might want for your business, but to really understand what does that actually look like. So the series of questioning that you learn to do here is critical for them having a very crystal clear vision. Once they have that, that's what we're selling. We're not selling coaching. Coaching is just the vehicle to get you there. That's what we're selling, is that result.
So it's more what they're going to see rather than what they're going to hear from the coach.
100%. That's right. Because we as humans think, we think in vision. We don't think in words.
In pictures, right?
We think in pictures. Right. If I say pink elephant, you're not thinking PINKELE. You're not. You're seeing a pink elephant. That's what we want to do for their business. We want them to see the pink elephant. We want to, and not just see it, touch it, feel it, taste it. You know what I mean? It's so crystal clear that now I know you, because you helped me see it, can get me there.
Yeah.
That's the confidence they have in you through our sales process.
And what do you definitely need to avoid as a new business coach, to land your first business client?
Great question. You know what you have to avoid? Telling them what to do. I made that mistake when I'm telling them, advising them on what they should do right at the beginning. Because here's the mistake I made early.
Okay.
Oh, you should do this. Oh, no, I already tried that. Oh, well, maybe you should do that. Oh, no, I've already tried that too. 3 of those, you're done. So the questioning has to be, what have you tried? What worked? What didn't work? Especially what didn't work, because then my follow-up is, why didn't it work? I don't know. It just didn't. Well, let's figure out why it didn't work, right? I don't tell them you should do this ever. What I do is ask them, what have you done? What do you want first, so we have clarity around it? And then what have you done to achieve that?
So it's a process of discovery rather than, well, do this,
selling.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a process of discovering. And here's what's interesting. It's not about me discovering. It's about them discovering.
Yeah.
That's the tool. That's the technique that we teach is we want them to have epiphanies. We want them to have discoveries about their life or their business or their executive team. And they go, oh, I never thought about that. I didn't tell them what to think about. I just turned it upside down. I turned it inside out. I turned it backward. Now what do you see? Now what do you see? It's really, really powerful system.
And I guess people feel smarter when they discover the solution themselves rather than someone telling them the solution, giving them the solution.
Excellent point. Excellent point. That's why a person who's never owned a business can be a business coach, because we're never telling people what to do. If you owned a business, sure, it's helpful because you understand the foundation of, the operations, maybe people, leadership, communication. So you might have more experience in that, but you're not going to use that experience in coaching. What you're going to do is use your leadership to draw out the answers from them. And you're right, they feel smarter. They feel more accomplished because they came from them, because they believe in that. It came out of their mouth. If I say it, it might be true. Maybe I'll give it a shot. Rich said we should do that. Oh, we'll see what happens. There's no real effort into it. But if I can get them to say it and they believe that it'll work, it usually does.
But do you also teach, as a business coach, you got to know something about business, right? I mean, coming from across the field, like you got to know a little bit about business.
Right, but we teach that at Mars. We actually teach the foundation and what are the biggest challenges and how to really to help them look for solutions, whether it's around time, team, or money. Believe it or not, those are the only three challenges, and people either have one of them, both of them, or all three of them as a challenge, but those are the only challenges. So we teach you techniques of how to work on time or team or money. What are some great time management tools, team building tools, communication tools, hiring processes that they could follow, or money, how to bring in more money?
Okay, well, let's talk about the first coach. What's a great first coaching session?
Well, the first one is the clarity. That's always the first session, is we have them fill out a document, like I said, called an alignment, whether you're in any one of the three schools, life or business or executive. They fill that out, and we're going to have a clarity session, we call it, where we literally take every one of their answers and rip it apart, peel it apart, dig into that. What does that look like? Why does it look like that? What are some of the things we can do? And we start listing out strategies coming from them for every single answer to those questions. The questions are already preset. You don't have to be an amazing business coach. The questions are already there. They're going to fill out this document that has the questions there, and they are profound questions. Then you as a coach are just going to peel back their answers.
Right. And then how do you measure what you're doing? Because you got to measure it, right?
Yeah. Everything in coaching is measurable. Now, that's why I like business coaching a lot more. Not that I don't like life. I do a lot of it, but business coaching is so tangible. You know what I mean? The numbers, the matrix are tangible, whether it's generating leads, that's easy to count, or conversion rate, that's easy to count, or finance or profitability, or, all of that, the productivity of your team, all of that, attrition rate, how many people leave your company. Those are the kind of things that are so tangibly measurable. In life, it's a little harder, but at Mars Venus, we teach you to put everything on a scale, even if it's your relationship, your level of confidence, your connection with your kids. All of that is put on a scale that we subjectively, because it's the client scale, move them on that scale every week, from a 4 to a 5 to a 6 to a 7. And we measure that so they don't just feel better, they see the progress.
Yeah. And I've heard you have a very famous tool that you're very proud of at Mars Venus Coaching.
Yeah. It's called our accountability tool.
Accountability tool. Do you want to tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, it's coaching in a box, and no other school has this. That's what I call it, coaching in a box, because it's literally a platform that you open up, and it does the assessment of the company. And then you hit the second tab and it literally scores it. So you can see what are the strengths and what are the weaknesses of not only the owner, but the business itself. whether it's around time or team or money. So it's going to scale it for you. And then the next step is we have to master the business. So it tells you which areas to focus in on. And then we literally craft the 90-day plan from that. And then it literally tracks the 5 numbers I talk about in business coaching, which is lead generation, conversion rate, average dollar, number of transactions, and margin. Those are the 5 numbers that bring in money. Well, this platform measures it for you. It's amazing. It tracks it for you. So how many leads are coming in are tracked? What is their conversion rate is tracked every single week.
Amazing.
And the business owners are blown away. This is one of the things that I do when I go into their office to plug in their numbers is in that accountability tool. And I can show them where they are, and then they tell me where they want to go, and the accountability does all the measuring.
Do you have a story where like a small shift created this big result for a company?
Well, I think because they don't know what to expect when I go to their office to show them the numbers. So every time I do this, because I use this accountability tool to close, is I'll just take the first part of the assessment and I'll ask like 10 questions. Just yes or no, yes or no, yes or no. And as soon as I do that and I hit the bottom tab, the second tab of called results, it scores it. And they go, oh my God, I had no idea. This is what I'm good at. This is my strength. This is what the business is struggling. It is so correct. They see it now clearly rather than just thinking about what are my strengths. Like we talked about before, a SWOT analysis, it does all of that for you.
Yeah, right.
They're in shock and now they're ready to work with you. This is our closing tool. It's not only our coaching tool, it's our closing tool.
It's the convincer.
It blows them away. Every business owner that I've worked with and hundreds over the years look at that tool and go, their mouth drops open when they see the results.
Wow. Well, it sounds really, really cool. And Rich, I have one more last question. I think our time is coming, coming to an end. You've coached hundreds of businesses. What's the one thing business owners usually don't tell their coach, but that makes or breaks the success of a coaching relationship?
Most of them, you build such a relationship, they do open up. But many times they're not being forthright. I don't want to say honest because they feel they are, but they're not being forthright about the numbers or their home life. Because a lot of times I know that is a reflection of their business and vice versa. So they're not being forthright about what's going on at home. And that's why I talk about mindset so strongly, is your mindset of what you're building, why you're building it, how you're building it. All of that is more of an awareness. And so to me, as long as they're being forthright about, and we do over time get very close to the business owners. We get close to their, I tell a story many times about, I had a business owner. I was sitting in front of them at their desk. We're doing a session together, and one guy comes to the door. Wait, this guy just walked in. What do I do? And the business owner tells him what to do. And then another guy came 5 minutes later, and another one 10 minutes later, and another one, 10 minutes. And then he complains to me that nobody can get anything done without me. I wish this business could run without me, all of that. So I told him, you're the problem, not them. What do you mean? Well, you keep giving them answers. I'm sitting here watching you give them answers. Instead of teaching them what to do, you're telling them what to do. Why don't you say to them, what do you think I would do? What do you think you should do? Start asking those questions. Within an hour, they stopped coming to the door. And then he complained, nobody needs me anymore. Nobody's coming to my door. I feel so lonely. That's the things that they need to be more forthright.
Yeah.
They want to be needed, but they don't want to be needed. So, that's a true story.
Very cool. So it is, going back to this thing that people don't tell you, or business owners don't tell you. Numbers are quite important, because if you're running through the tool, you gotta have the right numbers, right? How do you get the right numbers out of them? Do you have a trick? Do you have a a technique, a strategy?
No, most of it you can find, like, for example, lead generation is pretty easy. If they're using a CRM or if they're using something that shows leads coming in or social media tracking. And frankly, if they're not doing that, they will be very quickly with me is we got to track this stuff because we make decisions based on those numbers. So as my brother, the accountant would say, garbage in, garbage out. He would say that all the time. We have to make sure that what we're plugging into those numbers is correct. And I show them how to do that from their computer. If I can measure how many leads came in and I can see on their computer how many sales they made, if they made 3 out of 10, they have a 30% conversion. And all we want to do is start tracking that conversion week to week to week. Those are the kind of things, because there's a universal law that whatever you measure starts to improve.
Mhm.
And either they're not measuring it correctly or they're not measuring at all. And that's what we teach them to do. That's what this accountability tool does for them.
Yeah, yeah. And I guess by building rapport, by asking questions, connecting with the business owner, with your client, you're opening them up to trust you, to allow them to be more open to you.
The quickest
right?
way, that's correct. And I'm glad you used the word trust, because that's what we're doing, is building trust, not just through the sales process by giving them value, but when you're a coach is giving them value. And then they do build a real trust level with you. Then they start opening up about their family life, their kids, their health. That's another thing they're not always forthright about, is their health. They're so busy building a business that they're not taking care of their health.
Yeah, definitely. And what about men and women, female and male business owners? Like,
Very different.
speaking about
That's,
trust, speaking
that's
about
our
opening up.
specialty. That's our specialty, is how a man runs a business very linearly and a woman runs a business very fractally, because their brains are wired differently. And so women tend to see the bigger picture. Women tend to fix and solve things based on long-term results. Men tend to band-aid things. We just got to fix this right now because I got so many other things to do. So it's a very different mindset. And what we want to teach the men is more of the woman's mindset, the longer term. And we want to teach women both the gender intelligence, is what we call it. And it's very powerful. We're the only coaching school in the world that coaches men differently than women, even in business, not just in life, but in business.
And do you have an example for our viewers on how to build trust? Because that is definitely very important, trust, right? How to build trust with a female client and with a male client.
Well, definitely a female client, because they have more corpus callosum, which is the connective tissue of the two sides of the brain. So in a woman, she's not just looking at the logic, the analytical side, but she's connecting that to her memories. She's connecting that to her intuition. She's connecting that to her emotion. So what I want to do and build trust with a woman first is be interested in her, not just in the business. But tell me about you. How are the kids doing? How are you feeling? If you're interested in her, because she's connecting all of that together in her decision to work with you. Men, it's just authority. What are your medals? What have you achieved? What have you done in the past? And it's very linear in how we're going to build the business. So there's a very different approach. One is a more fractal approach, and one is a more linear approach. That's something we teach at Mars Venus.
Cool. Sounds very interesting. Rich, thank you for your time. I mean, that was a really powerful walkthrough from starting out as a coach to selling your services to transforming businesses, building trust. And yeah, thank you for your time. That I think that was very, very valuable. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you subscribe and join us again next Tuesday. And if you're ready to explore becoming a certified Mars Venus coach, then check out the link in the description and take the next step. I'm Helmut Wolthuber. See you next week.